Guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where all summer long we have been talking about Manchester United and Erik ten Hag. We've been talking about things that they can do better to score more goals or concede less goals next season. We've been talking about different tactics that might be put in place, as well as breaking down the tactics which we've seen in pre-season. However, that has all been building up to this moment. The Premier League season literally starts today. I will be going live on the channel this afternoon to discuss the upcoming weekend of action, basically. So join the live stream this afternoon to give me your opinion. But in terms of today, in today's video, we are talking about Erik ten Hag and what I truly believe is his plan and his tactic for this season. So I believe the best place to start with this is the Manchester United starting 11. And as we can see here, Manchester United finally seem to have got themselves into a position where they have two entire 11s which can be rotated. Something which Erik ten Hag was talking about literally 2 days ago. Now, players like Todibo and Amrabat, we're not too sure on whether or not they will sign just yet. However, it looks likely. If Manchester United do that business, this gives United two very, very decent teams. Now, of course, someone like Rasmus Højlund isn't going to come straight into the team. However, I feel that as the season develops, he will be the first team striker, giving United these two 11s, which to me looks really, really good. There's competition in every position, there's quality in every position, and this should allow players to do a couple of things. It would allow players to physically push each other to be better, to strive to be better footballers, knowing that if their performance drops off just a tiny bit, they will be replaced in the starting 11. But it's also going to allow players to play at a higher intensity during football matches, because Erik ten Hag will have the comfort and the stability of being able to rotate starting 11s in between games, unlike last season where he was very much stuck with the same team for most of the year. So that's the lineups out of the way. I don't really want to linger on that for too long because I think everyone knows what the United lineup is roughly going to be this season. Now it's time to talk about the tactical side of the game, where during the summer I think we have seen Manchester United improving due to some of the signings which are coming to the club. Mainly Andre Onana, and that is where we will start. Manchester United when they play the ball out from the back, an area where they struggled massively, and I mean massively last season. They were awful, one of the worst teams in Europe's top 5 leagues at playing the ball out from the back. This year, I genuinely believe that they will be one of the best, and they will use a structure which looks a little bit like this. We will see Onana and Rafael Varane in the box. We will also see Luke Shaw from left back coming into the box, Lisandro Martinez moving here, and Dalot playing this position, Casemiro here. This is the sort of structure which Manchester United will use to try and play out from the back, and honestly I think it's going to work very, very well. And the reason for that is because United have outlets up front. The likes of Marcus Rashford and Rasmus Højlund are going to force the opposition not to push too many men forward, which means that they will be restricted in the way that they can press. So let's say, for example, I think most teams this season will press in either a 4-2-3-1, like this, or a 4-4-2, like this. Manchester United clearly have an advantage, because in these deeper positions, they have 6 versus 4. And when some of those 6 are Lisandro Martinez, Luke Shaw, Andre Onana and Diogo Dalot, real technical ball players, that's going to be very, very good. Adding the experience of Rafael Varane and Casemiro, I just think United are going to find it, a lot of the time, quite easy to play out from the back. For example, if the opposition try and press something like this, let's say the ball goes to Rafael Varane first, the opposition are in a 4-2-3-1, so the striker might come and press the ball. As the ball comes across, we're going to see this player kind of start pressing as the ball goes to Luke Shaw, but then what we can see is with a little bit of movement from the blind side of the forward, Lisandro Martinez can get himself into space. United will be able to play out from the back. It can work in a similar way the other way as well. So again, let's put the opposition in a 4-2-3-1 shape. This time the ball goes left to Luke Shaw, the opposition look to press. You can cycle the ball out this way, draw players out, and then either play the pass directly to Dalot or a little bounce pass around him like that. I genuinely think United will be quite impressive at getting out from the back. Now, a potential concern I have is Lisandro Martinez being quite narrow and Luke Shaw also in the box means that there is a lack of width on the left hand side in the build-up structure. However, early in the season I don't think it will be a problem. However, what some teams might do to try and hurt United as the season goes on is potentially kind of commit an extra player forward basically. Try and press a bit more like this to stop United having the overload in these areas. Now again, United still do have one player spare, but this makes things more difficult. Fortunately though, as we were talking about with Rasmus Højlund and also Marcus Rashford, but also Andre Onana, United will often be able to bypass a press like this and actually go really direct with Onana straight up to the forwards, and that in itself will be super, super deadly this season. So I think United's first phase this year is going to be very, very good. As a result of having a good first phase, Manchester United should find themselves with higher possession numbers this season. Last year, United were often forced to send the ball long, lose the second ball, and therefore lose possession. That shouldn't be the case as much this season, meaning they should have more possession, more sustained possession, more second phase play. So the question is, how are they going to play in this area? Well, it's actually quite a difficult question to answer, because one thing that we can certainly expect from this team is rotations. Now, I don't just mean in terms of personnel, I mean literally how the team is going to shape up. For example, at times Manchester United will build possession in a 2-3 shape like this. Very, very possible you will see it during games. In the same game, you will also see United building possession like this. You'll also see it being built like this. United will be rotating a lot. There will be a lot of different possession structures. For example, at times even Casemiro will drop deep and both of the fullbacks will push a little bit further forward. Something like this. There is going to be a lot of different structures. Also, quite a niche one to look out for, but something I'm quite excited to see, is a structure where Manchester United will also do something like this, where Diogo Dalot and Luke Shaw will drop in alongside Rafael Varane, and Lisandro Martinez will push further forward to form a box midfield. That is something else which we have seen in pre-season. But the idea is, it is constant rotations from Manchester United in this area. There's also the option, in certain situations, to push Andre Onana further forward, and have the centre-back split either side of him to push the full-backs a little bit higher up the pitch. These are all things that Manchester United will do. So when watching United this season, it's important not to be too fixed and too tunnel vision on a certain shape. They will be moving about a lot in these areas, and the benefit of that is that it will make it difficult for the opposition to apply pressure on the ball and kind of shift and adjust with them. As a result of this, once again, Manchester United should have more possession than what they had last season, and already the retention does look a little bit better than what it did last year. Mason Mount has had very good passing numbers in pre-season, and Bruno Fernandes has also improved his ball retention. However, despite that, Manchester United will still be quite direct at times. Expect artificial transitions. These transitions where essentially you're being patient on the ball in deeper areas to draw the opposition onto you, and then United with a flicker switch will up the pace. They'll draw someone in like this, use that as the trigger to then kind of pop the ball to someone else, drawing players constantly, and then playing quick passing football through the middle. Now, as a result, United will not be as secure in possession as what someone like Manchester City is. There will be situations, and probably at times entire matches, where United turn the ball over too easily because they're being a bit too direct, a bit too fast. That is something which Erik ten Hag is going to have to manage this season, and it is an area where the players will need to improve and develop as the year goes on. However, when it goes right, it will genuinely be deadly because of players like Marcus Rashford, Højlund, Antony, but also Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount. There is the real potential here to draw teams onto you and then really hurt them with very quick, artificial transitioning football. So that is another area where United could be very, very good. Now that of course cannot be the case in every single game across the season, because there will be teams that come to Old Trafford, park the bus, shut up shop and reduce the spaces. So the question is, how will United look to approach the low block? Again, something I think we will see being a situation as United progress through the season. As teams realise they're too good out of the press, they're too good at quick transitional football, we need to sit a little bit deeper. Ten Hag will need to find a solution. Well, in pre-season, again, it looks like we will see a solution which involves different shapes. Of course, we've already spoken about this base shape at the back here, kind of rotating. But I think the most likely scenario is that majority of the time it will be a back three, and then some form of diamond in the midfield, with the idea being that United will be able to outnumber most teams in the Premier League, because most teams will use a three-man midfield, or a two-man midfield to kind of stop these situations. So the idea behind Ten Hag's system is to overload the opposition in these areas, whilst also having someone in this deadly zone 14, an area which is not being defended as actively in the current world of football. So it already looks like Ten Hag might be trying to get ahead of the rest of the league with this tactical ploy. Now, of course, it isn't going to be fixed. Nothing is with Erik ten Hag and the way he plays. Because this team will rotate, the team will move. It will change from a box to a diamond. At times there will be more players deeper, at times there will be more players further forward. All depending on the rest defence which the team needs. If you want to see a more in-depth video on rest defence, go check the channel from a couple of weeks back. There's a really good video on that. But the idea is that once they've got the rest defence shape sorted, United will look to use a rotating shape moving forward. But importantly, as we saw last season, what Erik ten Hag will look to do is occupy all the zones of the pitch. So yes, there will be rotations. At times, Mason Mount will pop up out wide, Marcus Rashford will come really narrow. But the point is, both positions are still being occupied. We'll see the same on the other side. Sometimes Antony will come narrower and deeper, but Bruno Fernandes will push forward. Or maybe we'll see Dalot push forward, but Bruno Fernandes will drop deeper. The whole point here is that you're rotating and moving positions, but still occupying key areas of the pitch. Again, Lisandro Martinez can step forward to allow this to happen. There will be rotations literally all over the pitch for Manchester United this season. That is going to be a big part of the way that they play. With the idea being that it pulls around the opposition, it pulls them into situations that they simply don't want to be in, allowing United to progress the ball through the pitch, from where they will look to overload the last line. Whether the opposition are defending in a back 4 or a back 5, this shape gives United the potential to overload that defence, because if need be, you can push 6 players into the front line, or if you want slightly less, you can just go for the 5. Now the benefit of this is that when most teams defend with a back 4, you have this channel of space here, this channel of space here, this channel, and this channel. Something we spoke about a lot last season. Erik ten Hag is going to be looking to use that once again this year because it is so deadly. As a result of creating these overloads on the last lines, expect cutbacks, pullbacks galore in the final third. Situations like this where Dalot has the ball on the right hand side, he will look for the underlapping run of Antony, who will then look for cutbacks into the box. But also at times, Dalot will carry the ball forward, but knowing that he has Antony here as the spare man, we will then see the ball cycled backwards from where it can then go forwards again. So expect a lot of that this season. Also expect situations where United are getting to the byline and then looking to pull the ball back towards the edge of the box. We've seen already in the summer with the players that have been recruited, players like Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes are very capable of striking the ball from distance, as is Casemiro and also Marcus Rashford. Luke Shaw himself is even a pretty decent striker of a ball, as is Diogo Dalot. So also expect some output from United this season from long shots from the edge of the penalty area. Now, all of this is going to be aided by the man up top, Rasmus Højlund. Now, unfortunately, he is injured for the start of the season. However, as the year progresses, I do think he will come into the first team, and his ability to occupy defenders, occupy space in and around the penalty area will be super useful for United. Teams will want to double up on him, stop him getting space. As a result, this is going to create room for other players, something which is music to the ears of Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes in particular. Expect creative passes from Bruno Fernandes in these areas, with Mason Mount being the secondary creator. Expect Marcus Rashford to move into loads of different positions, and also expect a slightly better season from Antony, as I was talking about the other day. In possession, I think United will be very good this year. Yes, the retention won't be ideal at times, but it is a work in progress. Now, those are of course all of the positives. Every team has negatives and has weaknesses, and Manchester United are no different. For example, they will try and play this quick possession football. However, they have some players which just aren't equipped to do it. Someone like Casemiro often gives the ball away cheaply. Rafael Varane isn't the most technically secure on the ball. Marcus Rashford makes bad decisions at times in the final third, and Bruno Fernandes can also be loose with his passing. At times, this will result in frustrating performances for United this season. Games where they just are unable to break down the opposition because the passes won't be on point, the team won't quite be in tune. The other issue will be United giving the ball away and from there being counter-attacked. And I do have to admit, I have genuine concerns over United's ability to defend a counter-attack or the transition at this moment in time. The rest defence structure is often pretty good from Ten Hag, but I still think it needs a little bit of work. Especially when players like Lisandro Martinez are being asked to step forward with the ball, it is going to leave gaps which can be exploited. Now, fortunately for United, having Andre Onana in goal will help them address that, because United will be able to play a higher line. This will be applicable and very helpful in the counter press, but also just the high press in general, allowing United to try and squeeze high to win the ball back. But if that press is beaten, do expect a few goals conceded this season, where the press is beaten, the opposition transition, and hurt this United defence. That is something which will probably happen a few times. Like I said, those weaknesses happen with everyone. Everyone in a league has those weaknesses. It's all about trying to cover them and mask them with the players that you have at your disposal. And I do think that Ten Hag will do a good job of that this season. Is it going to be that perfect football which we all have in our mind? I don't think it is. I think it's still quite a long way away from that. There's still a few technicians in the squad missing, and a few players which are a little bit too direct. However, at the same time, there's a lot of quality in this team. There's a lot of pressing, physicality, intensity, energy, but also technical ability. This is a very good team which Erik ten Hag is building, and I think he has taken massive steps to improving the team this summer. And I genuinely think this is one of the best places United have been in for a long time, and it leaves them in the position to maybe, just maybe, compete in some sort of title race. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I think United will probably finish third, that is my prediction. But I think they'll be up there for a long time this season. Hopefully they can go deep in the cup competitions once again, and it will also be brilliant to see the team in the Champions League. But how it all goes this season, we are just going to have to wait and see. This is the tactical setup which I believe Ten Hag will use this season. These are the teams which I am hopeful will be in place by the end of the transfer window. Now we just have to see how it all unfolds. So my work for today is done. Now it's over to you guys to get into the comment section and let me know what you think about everything Manchester United at the moment. But apart from that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.